Okay, we're doing Lift C. You're gonna need a bench, dumbbells, sliders or a ball, and then the cable machine. So we're gonna start with Bulgarian split squats. So you're gonna have, if you want it, again, you can use dumbbell, not use dumbbell, it's up to you. You're doing 10 to 15 reps. You're gonna place your foot on your box or your step or bench or whatever you have behind you. And when we do these, again, we want to make sure that we're not overarching in our low back. We want our pelvis to be neutral. We're thinking about our back knee, the leg that's up on the bench. We want to think about that knee coming straight down and slightly back as we lower. We have our tripod foot on the front leg and our shoulders are pulled back. We're going to lower down to wherever you're comfortable coming down to, ideally maybe around a 90-degree angle, and drive through that front foot. This back foot's really just resting on the bench. You're not really using it at all for anything. All of your focus is on your front leg. Essentially, you should be able to almost just lift that foot off of the back bench. So we're not really using that at all. If you're really tight in the front quad and hip flexor, you might feel more of a burn or a stretch on that front side, which, whatever, is fine. Or you can, if it's too much, you can just lower that box height down and just do it from a lower position. Okay, so you can use that as an option too. So shoulders are back. We want to make sure as we come down that our hip and knee are in alignment. We're driving through the heel on that side. Our hips are staying level and our core is nice and strong. Okay, so again, we do 10 to 15 on one side, switch legs, hips are level, shoulders are pulled back, our knee and our hip stay in alignment. We drive through the foot that's on the ground. Our core stays slightly braced. Again, not through, only through that like massive deadlift, the big suitcase deadlift, do you really want that excessive core brace. The rest of them should just be like a engagement, not a, bearing down. You shouldn't be bearing down for that. Okay, so after the Bulgarian squat, you're going to do a chest press. So you can use, if you were using a bench, you can just use the same bench. Up to you how you want to set it up. You can do it with your feet on the floor. You can do it with your feet on the bench. I like to do it with my feet on the bench because I really like for you to be able to push through your feet when you do your chest press. You should always be pushing through your feet. For pretty much all exercises, you want to drive through your feet because that's where your power comes from and your stability comes from. So for me, sometimes being up on a bench like this, because I'm a little shorter, I like to put my feet up just because I can get a solid push and I feel more support in my low back muscles. So grabbing your dumbbells, sitting back, I bring my feet up. Again, you don't have to if you don't want to. I just like to do that. Push my feet into the ground or into the bench because then it flattens out my low back. I can press my hands up and then I can start from here. My core stays strong, driving through my feet. Dumbbells come down. I like to kind of turn them a little bit as they come down so it doesn't put as much pressure on the shoulder joint. That's the nice thing about using dumbbells versus a barbell, is you do have that option. So we take the breath, we come down, exhale as we come up, inhale, exhale. Okay, we come down under control, drive up, down under control, drive up. Okay, so pretty basic, pretty simple. So the next one that we're going to do, I believe, is the hamstring curls, if I'm correct. Yep, hamstring sliders. So you're going to use this, I just have little like furniture sliders. You can use those, you can use paper plates, or you could still just use a ball or whatever you want to use. So you're going to come down on the ground, you're going to put your heels on the sliders, bring your butt towards your heels, laying on the ground. You're going to come up into a glute bridge. Again, when we come into a glute bridge, we want to make sure that we're not flaring our ribs, so we want our ribs to stay down as we lift our hips up. And then we want to make sure our shoulders are relaxed. And then from here, we're keeping the hips lifted, so squeezing the glutes as our heels go out real slow. Slow, 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 until you get to that full extension. Now you have a couple options here. You can drop down, slide your heels in, and reset, and then go back out, and we're going again nice and slow, keeping the hips up the whole time, full extension, lower down, and come back up. Your second option, so that's, I guess, level 1. Level 2, again, you want to keep that same space between your hips and ribs the whole time. You're going to come all the way out under control, and then you're going to pull back in, okay, without lowering your butt to the ground. So that would be level 2. And then level 3 would be to just do one leg at a time. So you can do that too. It's too early for me. My hamstrings are super tight right now, so I'm not even going to show you that one. But so again, we come up. If you need to, prop your head up on something. That sometimes will help to keep the ribs and hips in alignment. So if you want to get like a towel or a yoga bolster, or just get a yoga mat and roll it up to just prop your head up, that will sometimes get the ribs and hips to connect a little bit better and put less strain on your lower back. So depending on if you have that big arch or not in your low back, that might be an option for you. So after the hamstring slider, then we go to the cable row. So you can do one of two things. You can either do a cable row that's on the ground, or your actual cable machine. You can do a 2-arm or a 1-arm. So if you wanted to do 2-arm, you would just come on the ground, chest is lifted, feet are driving into the ground, and you would just come back, squeeze your traps in the back, squeeze, pause, back out. Squeeze, pause, back out. And you would do 10 to 15 of these. If you wanted to do a single arm, you could. You could even do it from the standing position. You could take a split stance if you wanted, keep your hips level, and then just do that kind of single arm row, but from a low cable position. Again, from the other side, it would be one leg forward, hips are squared, pull, and again, our bodies aren't rotating as we pull. We're keeping everything square and just using the back muscles to really do that pulling motion. So 10 to 15 reps. And then we go to the last 3, which are drop to skater lunge. So if you can do these again with or without a slider. So I'll show you both. So with, I don't know, I'm gonna try to get in the frame here. With a slider, you're gonna have 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot on a slider. And again, you can do this with a dumbbell if you wanted to. So you're gonna drop behind like a little curtsy, and then you're gonna bring the leg out to the side in a lateral lunge. So you drop into a drop squat, and then slide into a lateral lunge. So you can do that with the slider. I do like it with the slider a little bit better because it just puts a little more emphasis on that one glute. Or you could just do it, without, and you would do the same thing. So you would just come and bring the leg behind, and then bring it out. Bring it behind, and then bring it out. And so you could do the same thing. I think it just works a little nicer with the slider. So up to you if you want to do that. Again, 10 to 15 of each of those on each side. Okay, so drop, lateral lunge is 1. Drop, lateral lunge is 2. Okay, so, and you would do that 10 to 15 times. Then you have dips next. So you could either do that off of a bench, or you could use the TRX and do the dips that way. Just because I don't have an angle towards the TRX, I'll just do it from the bench for the moment. So again, you have options with the bench. You can just come off the side and have your knees bent, coming down and come back up. You can do them with your legs straight, coming down and come back up. Or you could put your feet up on a box or put your feet up on a ball and then do the same thing. And then obviously if you have the TRX, just have it high enough off the ground to where you're gonna lower yourself down under control, and then drive through. If you need to, come down under control till your feet lightly touch the ground, and you could use your feet to push back up, but focus on the lowering, and then use your feet to push back up if you need to. Really getting that nice core emphasis on the press back up. So that's dips. And then finally, we have our horizontal chop, which you're gonna come back to the cable machine for. So just like the last 2 days, we had the low to high chop, you had the high to low chop, and now you just have a horizontal chop. So you want it to just be, you know, kind of set up right around your belly button height. You're gonna interlock your hands together, and it's basically just kind of like a baseball swing. So feet wider, maybe shoulder width, or a little bit wider apart. Chest stays high and lifted. Kind of rotate in towards it, brace your core, and then drive out, come back under control. So coming back under control is big. You're really having to make sure your core is working for that. So we drive out, come back in, relax the shoulders, brace the core, drive out, and come back in, relax the shoulders, brace the core, drive. We're really, with that back glute, really finishing that rotation with our hips. We want to get that drive through the hips, and that back hip, that back glute really finishes that motion. Come back in under control, drive, come back under control, drive, come back under control. So from the opposite side, relax the shoulders, brace the core, drive, come back under control, relax, brace, drive. Make sure we finish that rotation so your hips should be square and the back glute fires. Come back under control, drive, come back under control. Okay, so that's Lift C. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.